Welcome students. Let us look at KCSE past papers on the topic folding. I will be looking at KCSE past papers from as early as 2000 all the way to 2022. So what I will be doing in this video, I will be giving you the questions that were tested and we shall also be discussing the answers. The first question was tested in 2003. That is question number 4 with two sections A and B. Question 4A. In your answer booklet, draw a diagram to show a simple fold and on it mark and name. Roman 1, an antcline, 1 mark, a limb, 1 mark, and a syncline, 1 mark. So this is how you should have done it. This is an antcline. This is a limb. This is a syncline. Question 4B was reading, name 2 fold mountains in Africa. So you could have given an example of the Cape Ranges. You could also have given an example of Atlas. The second question was tested in 2005. This was question number 8. It carried 25 marks. So let me read. Question 8A. Name 1 fold mountain in Roman 1, Asia, Roman 2, North America, Roman 3, South America. Can you be able to give a fold mountain in Asia? So in Asia, you can give an example of the Himalayas. What about North America? North America, we can talk of the Rockies. We also have Appalachians. South America, we have the Andes. So if you did that, then you got your 3 marks. Question 8B, Roman 1. The question read, apart from fold mountains, name 3 other features resulting from folding. Apart from fold mountains, name 3 other features resulting from folding. I know you can remember these. You can give examples of escarpments, intermontane basins or intermontane plateaus. You can give examples of rolling plains. You can give examples of synclinal valleys, valley and ridge landscape. They only required 3. Roman 2. With the aid of a labeled diagram, describe the formation of an overthrust fold. With the aid of a labeled diagram, describe the formation of an overthrust fold. This question has 6 marks and it requires you to describe how an overthrust fold forms. So our first point will be crustal rock layers are subjected to intense compressional forces forming an overfold, and so we're going to draw a diagram showing an overfold. That will be our first diagram showing an overfold. Our second step will be increased pressure on the overfold forms a recumbent fold. So we're going to draw a diagram showing the recumbent fold. Alright, after that we're going to go to our third step where we say that greater compressional forces form a fracture along the axis of the recumbent fold which make a thrust plane. We don't need to draw a diagram for that. Then we're going to look at our last step where you say compressional forces push the upper limb which slides forward over the lower limb along the thrust plane, forming a disjoint fold called an overthrust fold. Remember, an overthrust fold is also known as the nape fold. So you're going to have the 3 diagrams. The first one, you're going to show an overfold. The second one, we're going to show a recumbent fold forming. The third diagram now must show the thrust plane, and then we're going to show the upper limb having been pushed over the lower limb along the thrust plane, and we can be able now to show the overthrust fold. I hope that is clear. Question 8C. Explain 4 effects of fold mountains on human activities. 8 marks. Here we can give the following points. Number 1, fold mountains are water catchment areas. They trap rainfall, which feed rivers that provide water for domestic use, irrigation, industrial use, or even production of hydroelectric power. Number 2, fold mountains are important tourist attractions. Sometimes they have the snow-covered slopes and they encourage sporting activities. This one earns the country foreign exchange, which is used in developing other sectors of the economy. Number 3, fold mountains act as barriers to transport and communication. Sometimes they can make construction of roads or even communication lines difficult or even expensive. The other one is that the windward slopes of fold mountains receive heavy precipitation, which enhance agricultural activities or even forestry. Another effect is that some fold mountains have exposed valuable mineral deposits, which are easily exploited, earning income. Another effect is that the topographical nature of the landscape may encourage or discourage settlement or even agriculture. So the steep slopes will discourage settlement, while the valleys might encourage settlement. It is very important for you to consider that this question focuses on human activities. We have many effects of fold mountains, but it can either be on physical environment or on human activities. So this particular one required you to look at effects of fold mountains on human activities. Question 8D was a fieldwork question, and fieldwork is very common in questions. That is a topic you should consider revising thoroughly. So 8D, students are planning to carry out a field study on landforms in their district. Roman 1, state 3 ways in which the students would prepare themselves for the field study. 3 ways in which the students would prepare themselves for the field study. So what is being tested here is preparation for field study. There are many things you can do when you're preparing for a field study. For example, identifying methods of data collection, dividing students into groups, formulating study objectives and even hypotheses for the study, conducting a pre-visit to the area of study. They can also prepare a working schedule of activities. They can also draw a route map, seek permission from relevant authorities, reading relevant information or literature on the topic of study. They can also hold class discussions before the field study. They can also assemble research instruments or the tools or even stationery, whatever they will require. So there are many things that they can do for preparation. We are only required to mention 3. D. Roman 2. Give 2 advantages of studying landforms through fieldwork. Again, this question is testing on the importance of fieldwork. This one is a simple one. So number 1, the students will get first-hand information on different types of landforms. Number 2, it enables students to acquire appropriate attitudes towards the environment. Number 3, fieldwork allows students to develop various skills or apply the skills learned in classroom in a real-life situation. Then fieldwork also enables students to relate or apply the knowledge gained to real situations. Fieldwork also breaks the classroom monotony for the students and teachers as well. Fieldwork also enables visual memory of the landscape better than the theory, so it provides broader learning. The third question was tested in 2009. That was question number 5, carrying 6 marks. So the students had been given a diagram that is showing some types of folds, and they were required to use it to answer question 5A. So you're supposed to name the types of folds marked E, F, and G. E, F, and G. So if you know how the folds follow each other, then you will know that we have E must be an overfold, Then we have, after an overfold, we get a recumbent fold. After a recumbent fold, we get an overthrust fold, or what we call a nape fold. We have just explained how it forms. Those are 3 marks. Question 5b, in which countries are the following fold mountains found? This is a simple question, but it was also tricky because many students ends up giving the continents. But now you are being asked in which countries, not the continent, but countries are the following fold mountains found. So we have the Andes. These ones are found in Chile, maybe Bolivia, Argentina, Colombia. Then number 2, Cape Ridges, just one country, South Africa. Then we had Alps. Alps also cover a number of countries. The question required you only to give one country, and which is better than Switzerland, which is also a country that we study in tourism, you remember? So Switzerland is one of them. We have Italy, we have France, you can also mention Austria. All those countries are covered by the Alps. So that would have given you 3 marks. The next question was tested in 2011. Again, it carried 25 marks. That was question number 8. They had been given a map showing the location of some mountain ranges. And so question 8a required them to do what? Name the ranges marked P, Q, R, and S. Can you see where we have P? Which range? Which mountain range is P? So P is in South America, so that is Andes. Then we have Q. Q is in North America, and you can see it is on the eastern side, so that is Appalachians. Then we have R. R is in the northern part of Africa, so that must be Atlas. Then we have S, and S is in Asian continent, in the southern part, that is Himalayas. So we had P, Andes, Q, Appalachians, R, Atlas, and S, Himalayas. I hope you got it right. Then question 8b, Roman 1. Apart from fold mountains, name 3 other features resulting from folding. Apart from fold mountains, name 3 other features resulting from folding. This question is being repeated once again. We had already mentioned synclinal valleys, rolling plains, intermontane basins, intermontane plateaus, ridges, and so on. So that one we had already answered. It is a repeat. And by the way, I insist, it is very important to revise using KCSE past papers because most of the questions are repeated. So it is wise. Just look for the KCSE past papers, go through them, try to get the right answers. And what we are doing right now is very important. So thank you for joining my channel. And I hope you have subscribed so that you continue getting more and more revision papers. So question 8b, with the aid of labeled diagrams, describe how fold mountains are formed. This question carried 10 marks. So you must be very careful how we answer this question. Describe how fold mountains are formed. So first, extensive shallow depressions called geosynclines develop on the Earth's surface. Then prolonged and extensive erosion occurs on the surrounding higher grounds. At this point, we are going to draw a diagram on formation of geosyncline. We are going to show this diagram here. You can see the geosyncline. You can see there is the continental landmass, the Sima and mantle, and you can see the sea. Now the next step, sediments are deposited in the geosyncline, forming thick layers. The weight of the sediments causes subsidence of the geosyncline, leading to accumulation of more sediments to great thickness. So the second diagram you're going to draw, we shall be showing a geosyncline that is filled with sediments. You can see this diagram here. You can see there is a difference with the first one we had drawn. So this one shows a geosyncline, you can see the sediment now. You can also notice that in our first diagram, the simmer had not sunk, but now in the second diagram, we can see clearly the subsidence of simmer. Then the third step, further subsidence of the geosyncline triggers off compressional forces, which cause sediments to fold. The folded layers of sediments in the geosyncline are thrust upwards to form fold mountains along the edges of the geosyncline due to closeness of the source of force. So our third diagram will be showing sediments that have undergone folding and now they have formed the fold mountains. And we are saying that the fold mountains will be formed at the edges of the geosyncline. Why? Because they are closer to the source of the compressional forces. Question 8C required them to explain the significance of fold mountains once again to human activities. The significance of fold mountains to human activities. So we had answered this question, but I can repeat quickly. We can talk about fold mountains are tourist attraction sites, especially the snow-covered slopes of fold mountains, which encourage sporting activities and they earn foreign exchange. And I said this is used to develop other sectors of the economy. Fold mountains are also sources of rivers that provide water for generation of hydroelectric power. It can also be used for industrial purposes or even irrigation. So it is the fold mountains that are sources of rivers. Again, fold mountains are often forested and therefore they provide timber, which is used in the building and construction industry, or maybe as wildlife habitat, or maybe for aesthetic purposes, or maybe for medicinal purposes. Some fold mountains have also exposed valuable minerals, which are now easy to mine. Then again, the windward slopes of fold mountains receive heavy precipitation, and this enhances agricultural activities. But then we also said we have some negative side of it. Some fold mountains may act as barriers to transport and communication, and they also make construction of transport and communication lines difficult or expensive. The leeward slope of some fold mountains creates rain shadow effect, which results into aridity, discouraging crop farming. The next question was tested in 2017. You can imagine since 2011 we didn't have a question on folding until 2017, and it carried 25 marks. This was question number 8 once again. So question 8A, Roman 1. Apart from anticlinorium and synclinorium complex, name 3 other types of folds. Do you remember the types of folds? We can talk about asymmetrical folds, recumbent folds, isoclinal folds, the simple folds, or what we call the simple symmetrical folds, overfolds, overthrust. I hope I have mentioned all of them. Then question 8, Roman 2. With an aid of a well-labeled diagram, describe the formation of anticlinorium and synclinorium complex. How is an anticlinorium and synclinorium complex formed? So here we're going to give the explanation, and then we can draw one final diagram showing the anticlinorium and synclinorium complex. So how does it form? Crustal rocks are subjected to weak compressional forces. A series of small or minor folds form on the crust. Later, the same crustal rocks are subjected to stronger compressional forces. This leads to the formation of a large anticline and a syncline, on top of which now exists a series of smaller anticlines and synclines. The anticline complex is now called the anticlinorium. You see why? It has a major anticline, but then it also has a series of smaller anticlines. The anticline complex is called the anticlinorium. complex. Why is it called the anticlinorium complex? Because it has a major anticline, but then it also has a series of smaller anticlines and synclines in that anticline, while the synclinal complex is called the synclinorium. And you can see it is a syncline, yes, but if you look at that syncline, the major one, you can still see a series of smaller anticlines and synclines. Question 8b, Roman 1. Name the young fold mountains found in the following continents. Number 1, we have Africa. Which young fold mountain do you know in Africa? Number 2, Europe. Number 3, Asia. Number 4, North America. So you give a young fold mountain. The question is very specific. Young fold mountain. In Africa, we have Atlas. In Europe, we have Alps. In Asia, we have Himalayas. In North America, we have Rockies. The next question, that is question 8b, Roman 2. Describe the formation of fold mountains according to the convectional current theory. 4 marks. This question has not insisted on using diagrams, so we can just give an explanation. When convectional currents in the upper mantle move horizontally towards each other, they usually cause a frictional drag on the oceanic crust and hence continental crustal rocks, making them move along. This drag causes the continents to move towards each other. In the process, the sediments in the ocean between the continents are squeezed into folds, thus forming fold mountains. So we have convectional currents in the upper mantle that are moving horizontally towards each other, and they usually cause a frictional drag on the oceanic crust as well as the crustal rocks. So they make them move along. So this drag causes the continents to move towards each other, and in the process, the sediments that are in the ocean between the continents are usually squeezed into folds, forming fold mountains. Question 8c, explain 4 effects of folding on physical environment. Now you can notice there's a difference here because we are going to explain the effects of folding on physical. The other time it was human activities, now it is physical environment. So we should be very careful on the word physical here. The effects include, number 1, folding creates steep slopes that form rugged mountain topography. Number 2, fold mountains receive high rainfall on windward side, thus supporting dense forests. Number 3, folding may weaken the crustal rocks, creating fault lines through which magma may escape, and this can trigger volcanic activity. Fold mountains receive high rainfall on the windward side, that is a source of rivers. That is why we say they are water catchment areas. Depression formed through folding turn into wetlands, which support a rich biodiversity. Fold mountains also cause high rainfall on windward slopes and low rainfall on the leeward slopes, creating the rain shadow effect. And our last question in folding was tested in 2018. If I was a geographer, then I would really revise this topic because there's a high possibility it might be tested very soon, maybe even this year. So question 2a, name 3 types of folds. That again is a repetition. That is why I'm insisting on the importance of revising using KCSE papers. You can see how many questions are being repeated. So name 3 types of folds. Simple symmetrical fold, asymmetrical folds, overfolds, isoclinal folds, recumbent folds, overthrust fold, anticlinorium folds, the synclinorium folds, or you can talk about the anticlinorium synclinorium complex. Question 2b, state 3 factors that determine the folding of crustal rocks. So number 1, the rocks should be young. Folding can only occur in young rocks in order for them to bend. Then number 2, the crustal rocks should be in layers. So mainly folding occurs in sedimentary rocks. Then number 3, it's the amount of pressure. The amount of pressure applied should be high to be able to cause the bending. Then the forces operating on the crustal rocks should be compressional. That is the only way we are going to have folding in crustal rocks. So that marks the end of questions on folding since 2000 to 2022. We are hoping we might find a question on folding in KCSE 2023. If it appears, then you're good to go. You have revised quite a lot about folding, but we have not covered everything, so it's up to you again to go back to your books, see what has not been captured, because when they are testing questions, it is either they will repeat to see whether students now understand a certain question, probably that was performed poorly, or they will be testing on the areas that have not been tested. So I would advise you to go back to your books, dig in, read about folding thoroughly. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for revising with me. I wish you all the best in your exams, and kindly subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and if this video has benefited you, please give me a like. See you next time as we look at other subtopics.